Something unprecedented has just shattered the silence that has surrounded sacred prophecy for decades. The words you are about to hear will change the way you see the next weeks of your life. Father Petar has broken his long silence with a revelation so urgent and immediate that even the most hardened skeptics cannot ignore what heaven itself is announcing through his trembling voice. This morning, during an extraordinary broadcast that reached millions of hearts worldwide, Father Petar spoke with a clarity that left no room for doubt or delay. His words carried the weight of divine urgency. The veil between heaven and earth is dissolving, and what has been promised to generations is about to be fulfilled before our very eyes. Mark this date not on your calendar, but on your heart, November 17th. On that day, the sky will open, and every person on earth will experience something no human generation has ever witnessed. This is the illumination of consciences, the moment when every soul will see itself exactly as God sees it. It is no longer a distant promise. It is an imminent reality that requires immediate preparation, as the Holy Scriptures remind us of this coming transparency. For there is nothing hid that shall not be admitted, nor anything secret that shall not be known and come abroad. Luke 8, verse 17, Douay Rheims. Father Petar, having walked in the shadow of divine mystery for years as the chosen priest for the secrets, declared that the time of waiting has ended. The time of decision has arrived at the force of divine mercy that will no longer tarry. If you feel the importance of this message in your soul, please like this video and subscribe. Joining our community ensures you stay informed as we approach this historic date of November 17th. Every living person, regardless of faith, nationality, or past, will find themselves face to face with the absolute truth of their existence in an instant that exists outside the boundaries of human time. No mask will remain, no excuse will hold weight, and no self-deception will survive the light of divine truth. The revelation occurring on November 17th will be so complete and penetrating that every action, thought, and hidden motive will be laid bare. Every soul will be viewed through the lens of eternity. The good that has flowed from our hearts, the evil we have chosen, and the opportunities for love we have embraced or rejected will all be illuminated. For some, this moment will bring indescribable joy. Souls living in grace, who have chosen the narrow path of mercy and truth, will find themselves immersed in a light more beautiful than anything earthly eyes have seen. Every act of kindness and every prayer whispered in the darkness will shine like precious gems in that divine light. However, for others, this illumination will bring a darkness deeper than any earthly suffering. This is not a punishment, but the natural consequence of hearts that have closed themselves to grace. Souls who have chosen selfishness over love and pride over humility will find the experience unbearable. Like an eye accustomed only to shadows, the soul cannot initially withstand the fullness of divine light. Father Petar revealed that for those consecrated to the Sacred Hearts of Jesus and Mary, November 17th will mark a transition to a superior spiritual reality. This is what mystical tradition has long called the rapture, not an escape from the world, but an elevation into a dimension where divine love reigns supreme. This sudden clarity is described by the apostle. For now we see through a glass in a dark manner, but then face to face. Now I know in part, but then I shall know even as I am known. 1 Corinthians 13, verse 12, Douay Rheims. To affirm your desire to walk in the light and prepare your heart for this face-to-face encounter, please type, "Jesus, I trust in you," in the comments. After the initial illumination, humanity will experience 3 days of grace unlike anything recorded in history. Churches will overflow with souls seeking reconciliation. Confession lines will stretch for hours as hearts, finally seeing themselves with clarity, rush to embrace the mercy they long rejected. Following the shock of the illumination, the world will enter a period of unprecedented supernatural restoration. Father Petar explained that humanity will experience 3 days of grace unlike anything ever recorded in human history. These will be days of profound healing, where the spiritual world breaks into the physical with such frequency that even the most skeptical hearts will crumble before the evidence of divine intervention. And, during this sacred window, radical reconciliation. Families divided by years of anger will embrace in tears of forgiveness, and communities torn by hatred will discover the curative power of divine love. Physical miracles. Supernatural healings will manifest in every corner of the globe, serving as visible signs of the internal spiritual restoration. And spiritual effusion. An outpouring of the Holy Spirit will touch believers and non-believers alike, spreading through nations like a holy wildfire. The churches will be filled to capacity. The sacrament of penance will become the most sought-after treasure on earth, as the light of November 17th leaves every soul desperate to be washed clean. This is a fulfillment of the promise of divine mercy, as echoed in the Scriptures. And it shall come to pass after this, that I will pour out my Spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy. Joel 2, verse 28, Douay Reims. However, Father Petar issued an urgent warning wrapped in this mercy. The preparation for this moment cannot be delayed. Your spiritual condition on the morning of November 17th will determine how this experience manifests for you. Those who arrive in a state of grace will find paradise breaking into their consciousness, but those carrying the weight of unrepented mortal sin will find the experience to be a torment beyond description. The divine light, which brings joy to the pure, will feel like a fire that burns without consuming to those who have lived in darkness. If you are committed to using these remaining weeks to purify your soul, please click the like button and share this video. We must reach as many souls as possible before the door of preparation close. The path of preparation is clear and must begin immediately. Father Petar, with a voice marked by the weight of the secrets he guards, emphasized that certain spiritual practices are no longer optional for those who wish to stand in the light when the sky opens. The daily rosary is your first line of defense. Each mystery contemplated creates a fortress of prayer around the soul, a supernatural protection against the darkness that seeks to claim hearts in these final moments before the Illuminati. Furthermore, regular confession has become essential. To approach November 17th while carrying the weight of unconfessed sin is to invite a burden multiplied beyond human endurance. Father Petar spoke with trembling urgency about this. Seeing one's mortal sins through the eyes of God will be like a fire that suffuses a conscience without Our Lady has provided specific instructions for these remaining weeks. Consecration of the home. This must happen now, not as a private devotion, but as a public declaration of loyalty to divine love. Enthronement of images. Blessed images of Jesus and Mary should be visibly placed in every dwelling. This is not superstition, but concrete faith made manifest. Weekly fasting. Fasting on bread and water is the most powerful weapon after prayer. By sacrificing for our bodies, we open channels between heaven and earth that nothing can close. This call to spiritual fortification is found in the Holy Word. Put on the armor of God, that you may be able to stand against the deceits of the devil. Ephesians 6 verse 11, Douay Reims. A consecrated home becomes a sanctuary and a refuge when spiritual storms shake the very foundations of the world. When illumination arrives, those dwellings marked by consecration will be beacons in whatever darkness may follow. Before we reveal the final sign that will appear in the sky, we invite you to take a stand. Type amen in the comments to accept this call to prayer and fasting. The broadcast revealed a detail that sent chills through every listener. A specific physical sign that will mark the absolute end of the time of grace. Our Lady has declared that the sky will change color 3 times in a single day. This will be the final warning, the celestial trumpet blast before the arrival of November 17th. Father Petar's voice cracked as he shared these words directly from the Virgin's messages. In that moment, the time for preparation ends. Whatever each soul has chosen becomes fixed, like an image preserved in the amber of eternity. For those found in a state of grace, who have lived according to Mary's messages and consecrated themselves to the two hearts, This moment will bring no fear. The maternal mantle of the Virgin will cover them as they pass into the superior spiritual reality that awaits. However, for those who despise or please and lived as if God did not exist, the vision of their own souls reflected in divine truth will be unbearable. This dramatic separation reminds us of the prophecy of the Lord. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all tribes of the earth mourn. Matthew 24, verse 30, Douay Reims. Father Petar announced that he will return in the coming weeks to reveal specific warnings regarding Europe and Italy. He disclosed that certain cities have been designated as places of refuge, while others are destined to undergo a severe purification. The event of November 17th is not the end, but the beginning of a transformation that will reshape the entire spiritual landscape of nations. To ensure you receive these specific warnings about the cities of refuge as soon as they are released, please subscribe and turn on the notification bell. There are precise locations identified by Our Lady, specific communities that will serve as beacons of hope in the days following the illumination. The message delivered by Father Petar carries a special urgency for specific nations. Argentina, Mexico, Colombia, Spain, Venezuela, and Costa Rica have been named as lands that will experience the post-illumination period differently than other regions. This is not intended as a punishment, but as a necessary purification to prepare these lands for the new era that is dawning. In these specific places, the call to action is immediate. Continuous prayer chains. These must be organized now to sustain the spiritual atmosphere. Perpetual adoration, standing before the Blessed Sacrament, is identified as fundamental for protection. Intercession groups, dedicated groups for fasting and intercession, must form before the warning arrives, not after. Father Petar was explicit. Where the rosary is prayed, there will be light. Where families unite in prayer, protection will surround them like the walls of a fortress. Conversely, where indifference reigns, where churches remain empty and people live as if the divine does not matter, the darkness will find opportunities to establish stronghold. This spiritual reality is reflected in the holy texts. The Lord is with you while you are with him. If you seek him, you shall find, but if you forsake him, he will forsake you. 2 Paralipomenon 15:2, Douay Reims. The choice remains in human hands, even as heaven prepares to intervene. Father Livio has launched an appeal of desperate love. Every person who received this message is asked to share it with at least 5 others. Every soul that hears these warnings can become an instrument of salvation for countless more. If you are ready to be a beacon for others, click the share button now. Do not fear being called a fanatic or being considered crazy by those who cannot see what the sky is revealing. As the broadcast drew to a close, Father Livio's appeal resonated with a finality that pierced the heart. The time for human respect, the fear of what others might think, is over. The time for bold witness has arrived. It is far better to be mocked on earth and saved for eternity than to be celebrated by the world and lost forever. November 17th is no longer a distant date. It is an imminent reality approaching with the inevitability of the dawn. And what happens on that day will forever change the face of humanity and the destiny of every soul. The question you must answer right now is your soul in a state of grace? Have you made peace with God? Have you forgiven those who hurt you and asked for forgiveness from those you have wronged? When the sky opens and you see your soul through divine eyes, there will be no more time to change, no second chances to choose differently. It will be the moment of absolute and definitive true. Remember the words of the prophet. Seek ye the Lord while he may be found. Call upon him while he is near. Isaiah 55:6, Douay Reims. Heaven has spoken through the trembling voice of Father Petar. Divine mercy will no longer wait. To signify that you have heard the call and chosen to stand with the light, we ask you to make a public declaration of FAI. Comment "Here I am, Lord" below to signify your commitment to this divine call. By doing so, you may light the fire of hope in another soul and encourage them to prepa. To ensure you are spiritually armed for the coming illumination and the 3 days of grace, click on the video appearing on your screen now. The time is short. Let us walk in the light while we still have the day.